I'd like to call this August gathering to order and ask the Minister of Finance, Tito Mboweni, to take his seat. And those who should leave us to also leave. Let me take this opportunity to welcome all of you who are here, members of the brand new Presidential Economic Advisory Council, ministers and colleagues. We've got other colleagues who are online, who are participating via teleconference. Are you all there online?
Yes. Yes, we are.
Wonderful, wonderful. We will do introductions once we've done the opening. We've got a galaxy of media people here who are always and eternally inquisitive, who want to hear what we are all about. But it does give me a great deal of pleasure to welcome you all to the very first meeting of this council. But let me also say thank you very much to all of you for having accepted the invitation to be part of this council and to serve on it, and with a view of providing counsel and advice on the economic policies as well as challenges that we face, but economic policies that we should pursue as South Africa to meet the developmental needs of our country. We have sought together within this council experts in a broad range of disciplines, people who have extensive and varied experience. We have sought individuals who have done work in South Africa, on the African continent, and in other parts of the world. It is a very diverse group of people who we have chosen very carefully, knowing and believing that the advice and the counsel that we will be getting will be most valuable. I announced my decision to establish this council in the State of the Nation address. I said this council would ensure greater coherence and consistency in the implementation of economic policy and ensure that we are better equipped to respond to the changing economic circumstances that we face as a country. As we reflect on the terms of reference of the Council and discuss its working arrangements, it is my hope that the Council will direct its efforts towards practical solutions to the complex and pressing challenges our economy faces. It is clear that we meet at a time for our economy that is very difficult, when many key indicators confirm the extent of the economic malaise that has set in the aftermath of the recession. Our country has made great strides in a number of areas in improving the lives of South Africans since 1994. However, our economy is not performing at the same level as other upper middle income countries. This is due to the uneven distribution of income and wealth in our economy, inherited from our very difficult and sad past. On measures such as the under 5 child mortality rate life expectancy and school completion rate, we lag behind our peers. Poverty is rife, with nearly half of the population considered chronically poor at the upper bound national poverty line. Poverty tracks the pattern of our past very closely. It is highest in a number of our provinces, and particularly in Limpopo, in the Eastern Cape, and lowest in the Western Cape and in Gauteng. Poverty is overwhelmingly black, and one could say that poverty wears a black face. It also has a disproportionate impact on children, those living in rural areas, and people with little or no education. Unemployment in our country remains stubbornly high. On the narrow definition, the unemployment stood at 29% in the second quarter of this year. Our economy has lost its competitiveness, ranking 82nd among 190 countries in the World Bank's Ease of Doing Business Index. Business confidence has reached historic lows. In the State of the Nation address in June, at the beginning of this sixth administration, I said that government would reach some key milestones by the time the medium-term budget statement, policy statement is delivered at the end of October. Though we have much to do to strengthen the capacity of government to drive execution, good progress has been made in implementing these actions. Our work towards implementing the reforms is continuing, and there are a number of reforms that are now underway. Some of those reforms that the business sector in our country and many other people urged us to embark upon were in areas such as our visa regime, and they kept saying, introduce or reform your visa regime, and I'm happy to say that that work is now underway. And this we are doing with a view of increasing tourism in our country and in being able to attract high-skilled people to come to South Africa. For example, the Minister of Home Affairs has abolished the requirement that children entering South Africa should present unabridged birth certificates. That in itself is going to lead to a huge boost of our tourists who are willing to come to our country. Visa waivers have been extended to visitors from several countries. Requirements have been simplified for countries such as China and India, and an e-visa system will be piloted from next month. I was delighted to be shown a demonstration of how the e-visa system will work. It's going to make it a lot easier for people who want to come to South Africa, not to travel long distances to go to South African embassies or visa offices in their own countries. We've had situations where people, say, for instance, in China, have had to travel hundreds of kilometers just to go and apply for a visa to come to South Africa. Now they will be able to do it online, sitting in the comfort of their homes or their workstations. So this is going to boost tourism in a big way in our country. A policy directive on the release of spectrum was issued, and the regulator, ICASA, has begun the process to license this spectrum. We met with them and they explained, as they did to many other people who had the meeting, that they have started the process and we should see the licenses being issued soon. An integrated and comprehensive youth employment strategy is under development, coordinated by a project management office set up in the presidency. Engagement with organized business on the ease of doing business roadmap has also begun. Invest SA has commenced work to improve key indicators such as starting a business, registering property, dealing with the construction permits, paying taxes, and trading across borders. We will soon be appointing the Investment Advisory Council, as we will appoint a state-owned enterprise council soon to commence their work as well. The integrated resource plan dealing with our energy strategy and policy going forward is under discussion at the cabinet level and will soon be released for public comment. The paper detailing our approach towards Eskom will be tabled at cabinet shortly. This is a very important exercise because it consolidates all the work by Eskom's board and the management, government departments, and the various task teams advising government to turn around our electricity entity and to reform energy markets. It will enrich the process to bring Eskom to financial and operational stability by creating a reference point for implementation. It is important that we provide the market with clear signals of the nature and the contours of our reform process. Reforms are definitely underway. The paper will also help to inform ongoing engagement with social partners, especially as we seek to a just and contextually sound approach to the energy transition underway globally. We have shown that we can play a leading role in creating a renewable energy sector. The Department of Trade and Industry and Competition is convening various sectors to develop industrial strategy master plans. This, in a number of ways, complements the work done by the Public-Private Growth Initiative, which seeks to unlock significant investment from the private sector. The infrastructure fund that we spoke about last year is in the process of being formed, and we're finalizing all the bells and the whistles that will get this infrastructure up and running. Progress on these initiatives will be presented also at the South Africa Investment Conference that will be held in November of this year. And at NEDLEC, we are monitoring the commitments made at the Job Summit. Now, all these reforms and the initiatives that are now underway are reasons for hope. There is hope on the horizon. Our latest approach to the international bond markets was met with enthusiasm and reasonable pricing as well. Growth rebounded in the second quarter of 2019 with GDP growth of 3.1% on a quarter-to-quarter basis. This was driven by growth in mining, finance, government, and trade sectors. So much work is now underway to ensure that we do increase the level of confidence and that we regain the credibility and the trust not only of the market but also of our people as we implement these reforms that already enjoy a great deal of support from a number of role players in our country. Many of these reforms have been advanced in the paper that was produced by National Treasury's Microeconomic Policy Unit, the medium-term strategic framework, which is government's program of action for the next 5 years will focus on those catalytic actions that will spur the economy into action. The National Planning Commission is producing work to inform our macroeconomic stance in the years to 2030 and beyond. The opportunity before us is to develop an economy for the future. In the work I did as chair of the ILO Commission on the Future of Work, it became clear that the ruptures brought about by technology, by climate change and new modes of working can be managed. And all these interventions that may seem calamitous to the lives of people can actually be managed. And we are about doing exactly that. Shared prosperity demands that the right technology is combined with private and public investment to create sustainable jobs in the green economy, the care economy, infrastructure development, and particularly in our townships and in the rural areas of our country. So much work has been done, and as we gather here as an advisory council, we will be hearing quite a number of presentations. The first will be by the Minister of Finance, who will be giving us a broad overview of our economy, but also will be focusing on some of the reform initiatives that we need to embark upon to move our economy forward. We will also be dealing with a number of other inputs as we proceed with our work. So in the end, I'd like to welcome you once again for your presence here today as members of our council. And as I said earlier, we chose everyone very carefully, and we took our time arriving at the names of all the people who are here. We're very proud to have you here, and we're looking forward to your input, your participation in all the work that we do. The Deputy President and I are overjoyed that all of you are here. We appreciate the time and the effort that you have committed to this responsibility, and both of us, the Deputy President, look forward to your contributions to help us shape an inclusive and sustainable economy. So as they say in the Olympics, let the games begin. So I look forward to all the games. Thank you very much. The media may leave us now.
All right, so well, there you have it. That's President Cyril Ramaphosa chairing the very first meeting of this Presidential Economic Advisory Council. As I said, the council really meeting for the very first time today. You would remember that the announcement of the council was made earlier this year during the State of the Nation address, where the president was basically explaining that just a few people were chosen carefully to ensure that there is consistency in terms of the implementation of the economic policies in the country.
Yeah, and he spoke about the people that he's brought together in this advisory council, people who experts in a broad range of disciplines, he said, people with extensive and varied experience, who he hopes will find some concrete steps and solutions to the challenges that the country is facing, and that the country is in a situation where post the recession of 2008, we've struggled to get our engines going, and our peer groups, economies that are like size, are doing far much better than us. And part of that is because of the historical imbalances created by apartheid and the inequality that we face. And so he's hoping that this advisory council will be able to work together to come up with some solutions. He gave us some ideas about the integrated resource plan that's been a talking point for a while. He says that that's going to be released again soon, and how to deal with Eskom. The infrastructure fund, which was also talked about last year, is on the verge of being set up. Work is going on that. And the hard work of regaining the confidence of the international community at large, and hopefully increase the support that the country is already getting after all the reforms that the country has been putting together. So a lot of work for this Economic Advisory Council that it needs to do.
And the council, of course, has a 3-year term wherein they would then advise the president on how best to implement those economic policies and I suppose how to turn this ailing economy of ours.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to take a quick break, and after that we have some business news for you. Stay with us.